which is a lot to put together. So, from American Horror Story, from Heroes, from Star Trek, from the upcoming Class Menagerie, without further ado, Mr. Zachary Quinto. Get cozy.
They take that fireside thing literally here.
Yeah, they do.
All right.
Good.
Good. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Well, to begin with, congratulations on the Emmy nomination.
Why, thank you very much. Thank you.
That's I'm curious, with American Horror Story, what is the for you? What's the appeal with doing work on like an anthology series?
Well, you know, it's pretty incredible, first of all, I think, what Ryan Murphy created with that series, which is ostensibly a repertory company of actors that are working in television. It's something that hasn't been done in decades, really, to this degree. So there was an element of excitement about that, and then the nature of the show. I felt the boldness and the imagination of the storytelling is something that really drew me in as well.
And you know, I have to ask. We've seen you as Chad, as Threatsen, so we have Coven coming up. Can we look forward to seeing you return?
Well, all I know is that they are in New Orleans now. They're shooting the third season. They just started, I think, like a week ago. I'm about to go into rehearsal for The Glass Menagerie on Broadway, and so I am, as of right now, not engaged to be in the third season. But you know, the nature of the show is that people come and go, and you know, like Taissa Farmiga is a really good example of someone who was one of the main characters in the first season, not in the second season at all, and now coming back in the third season to factor prominently into that storyline. So, a couple of things could happen. One is that I'm just not on it this year, but maybe I come back at some other time, or maybe I'll just pop in for an episode or two if that ends up being something that Ryan or the crew is interested in down the line. But as of right now, I don't have any plans because of my schedule in New York.
Yeah, that's right. Glass Menagerie opens in preview September 5th, and then
yes, preview September 5th, opens September 26th.
And you'll be taking on the character of Tom.
Tom.
Okay. So, what is your connection to the Tennessee Williams play? I mean, is that something you've always been in love with, that particular one?
It's interesting. I agreed to do this play earlier in the year. We did it at the American Repertory Theater in Cambridge, and I really, you know, I've read a lot of Tennessee Williams, I've seen a lot of Tennessee Williams, but I didn't really connect to Tennessee Williams until I had this experience of working on this, which is his most autobiographical play and his most autobiographical character as well, Tom. So now my connection is profound, and I'm thrilled that I've had the opportunity to do the play and then go away from it for 5 months and have an incredible experience in that time, and now come back to it and bring it into New York.
Is the process of going on stage versus film and TV, which do you find to be more challenging? Is it the constant delivery night after night on stage, or is it showing up and looking good on camera?
That's all that matters. You know, it's interesting. They're entirely separate processes for me. I feel like I started acting on stage. That's how I learned. I went to school for theater. I've been doing theater since I was young. So there's a sense of familiarity, comfort, and home in the theater. And there are certain challenges that are unique to each medium. Film and television tends to be much more about instincts and connection and choices that are made in a moment, whereas being on stage is about sort of crafting an experience, crafting a performance over time, and then, you know, finding the subtle differences that change every night.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and throw it out to a audience question. There is a young lady dressed as a Dalek, I think, right there. Question. Hi, man. What's your name? What's your name?
Delaney.
Okay, and what's your question?
This is for Star Trek.
Where are you?
In Star Trek Trek Into Darkness, why were you more upset when Kirk died than when your mom died?
Apparently this has been on a lot of people's minds.
Good question. I think the first Star Trek film was about Spock wrestling with his humanity, really trying to understand it. And Star Trek Into Darkness for Spock was about him accepting and embracing his humanity. So I think that he was more conflicted because it wasn't only his mother who died, but it was also 6 billion inhabitants of Vulcan. So it was a profound loss. I think that it wasn't that he was less upset in the first movie that his mom died and more upset in the second movie that Kirk died, but the magnitude of the loss was more than about one individual. It was about a cultural and anthropological loss that was so staggering that I don't even think he could quite wrap his mind around it. And then there were pressing issues of trying to kill and capture or kill Nero. So I think it's also I think he was the journey that Spock takes in the second movie. I think is a more complete journey to his humanity. The first movie was about conflict, and the second movie was about acceptance. So maybe he was just more capable of expressing his emotions and being vulnerable, and then kicking ass.
Good question, little Miss Donna.
That's a good question.
Well, I mean, since there has been sort of this evolution of Spock over the first two movies, sort of more of that humanity coming through, what would be the next, pardon the word, logical evolution for Spock for Star Trek 3?
Well, I have some ideas about that actually, and I had a meeting in LA last week where we started to talk about the third movie a little bit, and just sort of sketch out some of the landscape for the characters and where they might go in this film. And I don't know. I think it's still finding itself, but I do think